Thanks. Is this good for height?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Mic adjustment.
Sure, go ahead. So I am 34 years old, and I grew up in San Diego, California. This story, it transpired probably 2 years before I moved to LA, which was 2014, so 2012. I just got up, couldn't sleep, went out for a walk. It was a nice misty night, so it was beautiful. There's generally not a lot of crime, and that's because it is way too hard to run from the cops in flip-flops. That's something you just can't do. And not only that, the cops have flip-flops too, but they've got like battle flip-flops and like combat-ready board shorts and a Kevlar surfboard, because that's how we spend our military budget on our police down in San Diego. I would sometimes go for walks late at night, which I think is unheard of in a lot of other big cities. And I would just go and just wander around and just enjoy the nighttime sounds and just kind of clear my head and think for a little bit.
There was no way I could have known what was about to happen that night.
So as I was walking, I kind of noticed something out of the corner of my eye, like a shape that like falls to the ground. I look over my shoulder at the shape that fell on the ground, and I noticed that shape desperately trying to get to a bush. And what it is, it's a guy dressed in complete black. The only thing later, I couldn't notice right now, but the only thing I could see of them was their eyes. And I kind of see that there's two people in that bush now. So what they've been doing is they've been going from bush to bush, and I just noticed them just because one fell. I'm just like, oh, that's weird. But it's also like, I guess like, I don't exactly know what's going on at this point, right?
They looked exactly like ninjas.
One was leaner and much better at being a ninja. And then the other one was, he didn't fit the regular ninja mold, the second ninja. The second ninja was much more large and stocky, and I think he had a harder time handling his own body and the weight associated with it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get away from these guys. And I just start walking to a different street. And I cross a street and I walk away. And I notice that they continue to follow me. They cross a street in order to get to another bush that's on the other side of the street that's closer to me. And I'm like, I know for sure that they're after me. And I'm like, at this point, I don't know what's going on. There's two people jumping from bush to bush, dressed in complete black, middle of the night. I mean, like, why are you hiding? Like, if you're walking around in the middle of the night, you shouldn't be being that, like, conspicuous about it. You know what I mean? Like, you should be just walking around like, I'm a normal guy. Like, you shouldn't be hopping from bush to bush. That seems very suspicious. So I cross streets, and I'm like trying to see if I can get rid of them. I'm trying to see if I can get some distance. And they just keep following me, going from bush to bush. And I'm speeding up, they're speeding up. And I just think, like, I don't know what to do in this situation. I don't want them to follow me home. I don't want them to know where I live. And I don't want this to continue. So I notice that there's a hill, and I start heading up the hill. And there's no vegetation on this hill, so they can't hide on this. So they kind of hang at the bottom of the hill in a bush. And I go to the top of the hill. And at this point, I'm freaked out. I know they're following me. We've just crossed several streets. They've crossed several streets following me. And it's like we've just did a little loop-de-loop turn. The chances of them going the same path that I am is like insane at this point. So I'm like, fuck it. I don't want them to follow me home. I don't want them to also gain on me and fight and have a fair fight. So I decide I'm gonna just make this altercation like huge. I'm gonna just go crazy. I've probably been in only like 2 or 3 fights with another human being, and I pretty much always pick something up and try to hit them with it. Like, that's my thing that I do.
You're a dirty fighter.
I won't fight with my fists.
You're a coward.
I'll just grab something. That's how I fight. Every fight I've been in, I grab something and I try to hit them with it. There's a rock on the ground to the left of me that's as big as my head. I pick it up, I rip off my shirt, because then I'm like oily and I'm like, I can move around. You get in a fight with somebody, you don't want to be able to be grabbed, especially in a two-person fight. Somebody grabs onto you, the other person starts pounding on you. You don't want that. So I remove my shirt and I grab the rock and I started running. Now remember, I was on top of a hill, so I was on the crest of the hill and I had gone over the crest of the hill, so they could not see me now. And from their perspective, they had waited a little while, so now they're trying to gain distance on me, and they're going up that hill, and they're running. They're met by me running, and I am screaming as loud as I can, with a huge rock over my head, shirtless. Ah! And I'm yelling and I'm running down the hill, and they see me and they're like, holy shit. Like, they don't say anything, but I see their eyes widen, and they're just like, oh, like they don't know what to do. They have no idea what to do at this point. And they turn around and they run all the way down the hill and they run into the bushes, and there's a ravine with even more bushes behind it. So they go into that ravine, and I'm chasing them with the rock, running down behind them. And at this point, I'm so adrenalized and I'm so like pissed off at the whole situation. I'm just throwing rocks, and I'm picking up rocks that are on the ground, and I'm throwing them at where I think they are in the bushes. And I sit there and I throw rocks, and I'm cursing at them. I'm yelling at them. I'm like, motherfucking ninjas? Ninjas in my neighborhood? I don't think so. Get the out of here, ninjas. I'm screaming at these ninjas, and I'm just throwing rocks. I'm trying to hurt these ninjas. I don't care if a ninja gets hurt. All right. So I'm like, I throw these rocks at the ninjas, and after a little while, I don't know what they're doing. They might be loading a gun at this point. And I'm realizing how stupid it is to just stand there and yell and throw stuff at these ninjas when I don't see them, which I think is when ninjas are at their most strongest. Like, when you can see a ninja, I think you don't need to worry about a ninja. If you can't see a ninja, anything could fucking happen. You could be attacked by a ninja at any moment. It's a potential. So I'm getting frightened at this point, and I just start running. I run as fast as I can all the way back home. And luckily I make it home, and that's the end of the story. I did not file a police report for a couple reasons. One, nothing happened. I wasn't hurt. I kind of just ran away. And two, I feel like it's maybe a little bit of a crazy story. Just coming from, like, if I were to be calling the cops, I feel like if I said 2 ninjas have just attacked me last night, I don't feel like they would take me very seriously. Which is unfortunate, because that's what happened. You know what I mean? But sometimes that's life. When I tell people this story, the most popular question I get is, were you drinking that night? And no, I was stone cold sober. This was like a Wednesday night. All right. So, like, this is just me just living a normal life. And do I have a problem with seeing ninjas now? I don't have a problem with seeing ninjas. They're okay. I'm cool with a ninja. If a ninja were to come up to me now, I don't think I would react in a negative way, honestly. I don't think I have any lasting residual effects from my ninja attack. I do think it maybe made me think about going outside a little bit more, like being just more like careful about it at night for a little while, just to have my head on a swivel. But I know that it's but I know that it's like it's an incident that happened that's kind of rare. I don't think that people walk around getting attacked by ninjas every day. So I think what happened to me was like being struck by lightning. Maybe even more rare. I think it might be way more rare than being struck by lightning. I think if the ninjas hadn't turned tail and ran, I think I could have had a pretty good chance at that fight. For a number of reasons. I think first off, I had surprise. They didn't know that I knew about them. They thought that this was like they were being stealthy and they were getting time on me. So I had the element of surprise. I also had probably the biggest asset on the field at that moment, which was a giant rock. I think if you're going into a fight, you can't do a lot better than a giant rock. I mean, if you're going against fists, I'm saying, you know what I mean? Because a big rock is threatening. I think if there's something inside of your reptilian brain where you see a man with a giant rock over his head, that's just frightening. You know what I mean? That could do a lot of damage because there's a lot of potential kinetic energy in a rock. So I think I could have definitely, because I'm very good at hitting people with things. I could have hit at least one of them with a rock, and I probably would have gone for the big one. Done some damage there, and then I've got my shirt off also, so I'm slippery, I'm oily, you know what I mean? I feel like if I get in there, I get a couple hits, they're going down, and I can get the fuck out of there. That's what I think. Because I think a ninja you can see, you can immediately say, okay, you fucked up, dude. Like, honestly, I shouldn't have seen you. First off, you're a good ninja. You get in there, you kill, and you get out without them even noticing you. So one, I saw you. So you're already a bad ninja. So I can make some assumptions there. We can start going from that point and say that maybe you're bad at fighting too. Maybe you're bad at, you just haven't studied all of the different ways of being a ninja. You haven't properly listened to your dojo master. You don't respect your elders. You don't respect Japan. And now you've got to fight a pasty Irish, like, guy with a big rock. I don't think any ninja out there has ever prepared for that. You know what I mean? Like, they don't go to their dojo master and be like, oh, you taught me the way of the samurai sword. You taught me the way of the shuriken. You taught me the way of the katana. You taught us the way of karate and jujitsu. But you didn't teach us the way of the pasty white man holding a big rock running down a hill. And the dojo master's probably like, I would never teach you such a fighting style, for it is far too lame, weak sauce, and totally uncool. I do think that there's a possibility that the two people that I saw that night, I don't think they were kids, but I do think there's a possibility that they weren't ninjas. Do I think I think that there also is a possibility they were ninjas. But the thing that leads me from thinking that they're kids is that one of them was very large. I'd say before I was attacked by ninjas, I wouldn't believe that ninjas could be found in San Diego. Personally, I don't think that the Emperor of Japan has anything against me or wants to assassinate me.
You don't have beef with him.
I don't have beef with the Emperor of Japan.